So we're going to Birmingham, and the suspect has arranged a meet. That's him. That's him. Go back round.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, go back round.
Yes, definitely.
Right. Where's Corey? Corey, turn around, get him.
Just turn.
Right, block the road here, block the road. I'll get out. Block the road, let me get out. What would you do if this happened to your kids?
I'd be contacting you guys.
So that's why we're here.
Children are more likely to be abused in the bedroom using their tablets online than they are on the streets.
For every one of him, there's another 1,000 lurking out there, and until we put a stop from the root cause, it's always going to be there. More than 3,000 online grooming cases were recorded in England and Wales last year. Children younger than 11 years old were the target in nearly a quarter of those cases. Young mum Jo Stubbs is determined to put a stop to this. She's a self-styled paedophile hunter who catches sexual predators by posing as children online. I started because one of my friends, her ex-husband, was caught with child pornography on his laptop. Because it was a shared laptop, it was never proven it was him. So I kind of wanted to do it for her, to catch him, because his daughter and her daughter is the same age as mine. Despite the personal risk, Jo is fixed on making the world a safer place for her own 4-year-old daughter. She knows that I go out, and she knows that I catch the bad guys, and that we hand them over to the police. And she knows not to talk to anyone. I've done that from a very early stage. Well, she's been 3 since I was doing this, so it's just a need to protect her and make sure she has the tools in life to be able to go, no, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to be interactive with you in real life and online. So we're going to Birmingham, and the suspect has arranged a meet. It's the morning of another sting, and today's target has been chatting online for 3 months to who he thinks is a 13-year-old girl. But little does he know, it's all been a setup. So we're going to be meeting him on a residential street, but it's like a cul-de-sac, so he can't go anywhere. And it's got a blind bend as well, so even if he spots us before, it's going to be too late. I picked it because it's a blind corner here. From experience, Jo knows the importance of briefing her team before any meet. But stings do get out of hand, and it's then that people begin to question the morality of paedophile hunters.
Fair play, mate. It needs to be taken.
Most UK police forces are wary of paedophile hunting groups, and the official police position actively rejects collaborating with them. But the Police and Crime Commissioner in Jo's home county of Nottinghamshire takes a different view.
Keeping people safe is all our responsibilities, not just a matter for the police. We've got a long tradition of organisations like Neighbourhood Watch, which involves people. But ultimately, I take a very practical and pragmatic view that these groups aren't going to go away, and that they do provide information that leads to the arrest and sentencing of people who are abusing children. And here in Nottinghamshire, the police take the information, use it, and a number of arrests and a number of sentences have taken place.
Come in.
Hello, how are you?
Come on through.
Thank you.
Jo's been working extremely hard to try and develop a code of practice, a framework, set of acceptable behaviour for groups to use, and I've been involved in that.
Paddy Tipping has also agreed to help Jo put the issue before Parliament later this year, in the hope of establishing national guidelines and support for her activities.
Ultimately, we need legislation to change, and going to Parliament, having a discussion with people from the Commons and the Lords, together with some academics, together with some of the groups, together with the police, I think gives us an avenue to talk through what we might do together.
That's him. Go back round.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, go back round.
Yes, definitely.
Live streaming was the biggest thing for me, because
that exposing someone before they've been convicted, now it just doesn't sit right to me, because I've seen so many other teams expose the wrong person, and it does destroy lives. I get so frustrated and angry when I see stings and situations that have so easily could have been avoided, giving us bad names, and it gives us all a bad name. And we've had cases where the judges have said, well, because this was live streams and this was said and that was said, we're going to reduce your sentence. And why would you want to give anyone an excuse to reduce anybody's sentence?
But Joe is just one of more than 100 of these groups now taking the law into their own hands, and the vast majority do not follow a code of practice.
There is such damage and fallout damage from the way they are exposing people, as if this is a fantastic thing to show people live someone's life being ruined. You have potential for people, I think, more likely to go on to commit suicide. You have their family and friends who may well also be damaged by this kind of exposure. You have lives ruined immediately, and you also then put people who may be concerned about their own behaviour and who might want to come forward for help. So this is potentially people who, before they've offended, it puts them off too.
But it's the impact on victims that drives Joe on. Jake was just 14 years old when he narrowly escaped sexual abuse. Now 22, and he remembers just how subtle the first signs of grooming can be.
This fella added me on Facebook. It was a bit weird because he didn't have any mutual friends. I didn't know who he was. My mum always told me, don't accept anybody I didn't know. So as a youngster, I was a bit of an idiot, so I did accept him. Long story short, he asked if he could perform sexual acts on me and pay me for it. I just remember him being very persistent in how he wanted to do these sexual acts and where he wanted to meet.
The man who had contacted him had not only been attempting to meet Jake, but when confronted by police, was found to have child pornography at his house. While he served 8 years in jail, the thought of what could have happened still disturbs Jake.
Still to this day, I do think of him sometimes. I do think, if I seen him, what I'd do sort of thing, and because I remember his face clear as I can see yours now.
When that person is stood in front of me, they always look like a deer in headlights, and they're always so gobsmacked that they've been caught. Usually when I go home and I get into bed, I do feel that twinge of I'm getting in my nice warm bed and they're in a prison cell. And I think it's probably because in the back of my head I'm always sitting there thinking, is that evidence 1,000% correct? Is that definitely 1,000% the right person? And until that charge has come through, and then I can go, oh, thank God, and then I'll watch it back and be like, yep, you deserve that. It's just that being 100%, 1,000% sure that that is the correct person, and that's also why I don't expose them.
The Paedophile Hunters, such as the one in Nottingham, who are acting through a code of conduct, who are sharing their information with the police, they are helping the police, so supporting the police. They're bringing the perpetrators to justice. They are preventing crimes against children. And they are doing all this and bringing the perpetrators to justice much sooner than they may otherwise have been.
At the end of the day, what do we all want? We want our children, in my case, my grandchildren, to be safe and secure, not just in the streets, but in their homes as well.
It's likely that what Jo does will always spark debate, but there's no debating her results. And until the internet is free of predators, she will continue her mission to give paedophile hunting a good name.
Hunting and decoying has its place and has had its desired effect, but that's not to say in a year or two we'll be banned for whatever reason, we'll all be arrested for whatever reason. Then what? Who's going to protect the kids then? So it's about making a permanent change, and the only way of doing it is legislations and laws and seeing if they work.